The last subject I want you to know about, and it's really dear to me, is try to help you how to cope with the diagnosis of cancer. Fear from cancer comes mainly from the unknown. The less you know, the more terrified you're going to be about the disease. Think about a soldier ordered in the battlefield to walk into a minefield blindfolded, and he's being told there is one mine in that minefield, but he's blindfolded. He cannot see it. It's a terrifying experience. Think about the same soldier now ordered to walk into a minefield which has 10, 15 mines, all of them fluorescent, and he has his eyes open. Much less terrifying. He can walk through the same minefield, avoid the mines, and will be much less terrified. The more you know about the cancer, the more you're going to be able to handle it. Used to be in the old country, used to tell us not to tell them anything because they were afraid patient can't handle it. I find it is the opposite. If any of you went to Disneyland and went into that space mountain in the dark, while you might have had a great experiences in roller coasters, whenever your eyes are open and you can brace for the downhill and have a thrill going down and then going up, you do the same thing in the dark. It was a terrifying experience. I took that. Since that time, I've had an abnormal cardiogram. It is terrifying because it's in the dark. Yet the roller coaster was not going too fast. I was told it's like 10 miles per hour. But yet it's terrifying in the dark. So therefore, it's important for you to know. I say you never can beat your enemy unless you're facing him. You cannot shoot your enemy turning the other way. So unless you face the facts, you face your cancer, you'll have no chance to win the war or to even survive it psychologically. Because it can become a big psychological burden. Whenever you have cancer, it's going to be a lot of stress. Certainly, beside the unknown, it is a very stressful situation. What creates stress is when there is a discrepancy between what you can achieve and what you expect to achieve. It's another ratio I want to share with you. Thinking about it like a ratio, like an equation, a fraction. What you can achieve over what you can expect. If what you can achieve is very close to what you can expect, usually you're a happy camper. If you expect to be cured and you were cured, you're happy. So how to prevent stressful situation? If you think about that ratio, there is two ways you can manipulate that ratio. One, you can try to achieve more. And two, you can try to lower your expectation and set your expectation right. Either way, you will end up having your expectation meet what you can achieve. That's why it's very important to understand the goals of the battle we mentioned. If you expected that this battle is for the cure, and yet all you could achieve is a partial remission, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be stressed out. If on the other hand, you only expected a partial remission and you achieve a complete remission, it's much more happy situation. So it's very important for you to remember that the goals you have to set, the expectation you have to be achievable. That's the only way will make you happy with the results you're going to have and will make you accept some of the side effects you might have. This is one of the reasons when we talk to our patients about side effects, we always present the worst case scenario. If there is 50-50 chance that they lose their hair, we'll tell them, most likely you'll lose your hair. Then if they don't, they're happy, they're ecstatic. But can you imagine if you tell them you're not going to lose your hair and they wake up 3 weeks later with no hair? It'll be a terrifying experience. Well, it's much easier handled if this was expected already. So remember that ratio. What you can achieve over what you can expect. It doesn't apply only for cancer. This formula is, I call it the formula of happiness. For everything we do. If you expect your kids to be angels, you're going to be disappointed because they're no angels. So if you set the expectation right for them, you'll be much more satisfied with them. So that's a good formula. Try to remember it. The other thing I have found, which has been a difficult subject for oncologists, for families, for patients, how to set the right expectations without destroying the hope. If we ask you to set achievable expectation, at the same time, we don't want you to have your hopes dashed. How can we do that? One way I deal with it is I have separated in my own mind, and I try to have my patients separate in their own mind the concept of expectation from the concept of hope. If you think about it, they're totally different concepts. Expectation is something much more scientific. I can tell you if I give you this drug, you can expect 30% response rate. I know that from previous experiences. I can tell you if this drug is going to cause hair loss, you will expect the hair loss. These are expectations. But I cannot tell you what to hope for. Hope is much more mystical. It's much more philosophical. It depends on your religious background. It depends on what your beliefs are. You have the right to hope. A Christian person have different hopes than a non-Christian person. And obviously, we don't want somebody who have hopes to have his hopes destroyed. At the same time, we want them to set the right expectation. Think about it this way. If you buy a lottery ticket, do you hope to win or do you expect to win? You usually hope to win. Even though you know the odds are against you, you still buy the ticket and hope you will win. Similarly, even if you know that your expectation from the particular treatment might be pessimistic, you can still have the right to go for it and hope you will be the one who's going to beat the odds. And God knows how many we've seen who've done that. They beat the odds. And we would feel very bad if we had dashed their hopes just by trying to be truthful about how serious the disease is. So I want you to think about this. Think about hope. Think about expectation. When the doctors talk to you, they talk to you expectations. It's up to you to formulate the amount of hope you want. You can have the right to hope for a miracle. If you believe Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, You have the right to hope for any miracle Jesus can do to you. It's not the doctor's business to try to destroy that hope. But it's their business to tell you what to expect from the treatment you're going to receive. And I think by making that differentiation, you will be able to cope with that, whatever expectation you're given, much better. We think about ways to cope with the diagnosis of cancer, whether during the treatment, whether it's after the treatment is all over. How do you live with the idea that you might still have a recurrence in the future? How can you lead normal life, but at the same time you know you are at risk? It takes a lot of strength. And in my experience, it takes a lot of belief. A belief which comes only from the religious background the person has. And if you look at different type of religions, most of them, they have the element of hope. Especially Christian religion. Jesus was our hope. He came for us and He died for us. When Matthew tells us in the Bible not to worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow has its own problems. Because tomorrow is going to be taken care of if we're true believers. We want to leave it up to Him and try to live our life. Even in the Muslim religion, Muslim philosopher put it very eloquently. He said, live your life as if you were living forever, but prepare to go as if you were going tomorrow. It's a beautiful concept. We're supposed to do it all the time. Unfortunately, we think about it only when adversity hits. And that's what gives us the strength to be able to cope with the diagnosis of cancer. I had a patient of mine who one time said it so beautifully. It impressed me so much. I asked him one time, he was a very religious person, said, Ed, are you afraid to die? He said, no. When I go to sleep, there is two alternatives. Either I wake up in the presence of my wife and children, or I wake up in His presence. And both are beautiful alternatives. He literally stunned me. I've never heard this said by a human. I've read it in the Bibles, I've read things, but this was very powerful. And indeed, when you're prepared, when you have the conviction that you're going to be taken care of, it gives you that, it's similar than a child who knows that his parents are going to take care of him. That's why childhood does not have much, worries. They know somebody else is taking care of them. If we get the same feeling that somebody is taking care of us, make us tolerate adversity much better. If we avoid questioning the reasoning behind what's happening to us, Why me? Why did it happen? Why should things happen bad to me? If we just accept and obey, we would be much more able to deal with adversity. If we know that Jesus died on the cross for us, and God has chosen His own Son to be tortured, to give us a soothing, comfortable feeling that what's happening to us is just an image of what happened to His own Son. And if He has chosen His own Son, who am I to question why He chose me? Ultimately, it's come down to this. We can run ourselves crazy trying to think about all the whys, but we all know that a lot of more questions than answers. That ultimately, it's out of our hands. It's only in His hands. And Jesus said it on the cross when He talked to His Father. Into Thy hand I commend my spirit. And if we can do the same and live the image He created for us, and He wanted us to do like Him, I think that will give us a lot of strength to fight adversity.